Alabama getting the shutout today at Bryant-Denny Stadium for Senior Day, 56-0 against Mercer. Matt Zenitz joins me now from Tuscaloosa. And Matt, we'll just start with the defense. That was something that Nick Saban really wanted this team to respond to after coming up a little bit short against Mississippi State last week in terms of the defense. Overall, what was the biggest takeaway? What did you learn about their response to, to the challenge that Nick Saban presented them?
Well, the biggest takeaway for me is that there were some young players like Dylan Moses that stepped up. There were some early issues defensively. Mercer actually crossed the 50-yard line on each of its first two possessions, but Alabama ended up getting the shutout and limiting Mercer to right around 150, 160 total yards. So overall, despite some of those early issues, a solid game for Alabama defensively, and really a good game for the offense.
Yeah, and you talk about Dylan Moses. Obviously, the linebacking core banged up, but Dylan Moses getting his first start as a true freshman. What did you see from him, and can we expect to see more of him, I guess, next week in the Iron Bowl? I
think that's a fair assumption. Dylan looked like an absolute freak, I guess you could say, today. He's a kid who, as we've talked about before, ran a 4.46 40 back during the spring, and you saw that speed today. You saw the speed, the strength, just the overall freakishness, to use that word again, from Dylan that made him such a highly ranked recruit. And it's going to be hard when Alabama coaches go back and watch the film from this game for them to keep him off the field. There were some concerns at that Mike linebacker spot after losing Sean Dion Hamilton, especially after last week when Keith Holcomb played and struggled some against Mississippi State. But I guarantee you Alabama coaches are feeling a little bit better about that spot after seeing what Dylan did today.
Yeah, that's certainly great news. Now, I know coming into this week, everybody's like, we're not looking ahead to the Iron Bowl, but now they can finally look ahead to the Iron Bowl. I know for Alabama, it's usually 24-hour rule in effect, but I can imagine these guys are going straight to the drawing board, straight to the film room to get ready for this huge rivalry matchup. Overall, what are the guys saying? What is Coach saying about this rivalry game that's up next for Alabama?
Well, Coach Saban wasn't asked about it and didn't say anything about Auburn. Talked strictly about what he saw from Mercer today. And players really weren't asked about it that much while I was over with them. Rashaan Evans was one that just talked a little bit about the fact that even with them preparing for Mercer this week, that especially with him being an Auburn guy, a guy who's from Auburn, then he was hearing a lot about that game. And needless to say, he's very excited about it and feels like things have come full circle for him, especially considering his recruiting process and just his whole background. And then something funny that was said, a reporter here asked Hootie Jones just about the potential availability of Alabama's injured linebackers and whether they could be back for that game next week. And Hootie just simply smiled and said that Alabama has their bag of tricks or their bag of secrets, or however he worded it, and that he's not going to be letting any of that stuff out, but had a nice smile on his face.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. We appreciate your insight as always. And of course, we'll be getting ready for the Iron Bowl all week long. For all your news and coverage and analysis, you can visit us on AL.com.